everyone, and welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we are looking at this blog post called Be the Difference.
Okay.
It's from a blog called Rantings of a Southern Madwoman. And what really grabbed my attention was how the writer uses salt as a metaphor for, making a positive impact.
Interesting.
So I'm really excited to kind of dig into this with you.
Yeah, salt is something we all use every day,
Right.
without even thinking about it, really.
Yeah.
But this blog post kind of points out it's more than just a seasoning, right? I mean, it highlights how salt was used as currency even. And it has all these surprising uses in medicine and manufacturing.
It really does make you think about something so ordinary having so many uses, right?
Exactly.
The post goes on to connect this idea to the whole biblical concept of being the salt of the earth, specifically referencing Matthew 5.13 from the Sermon on the Mount.
Oh, yeah. The Sermon on the Mount is a collection of Jesus's teachings that have had a huge impact on Western thought.
Right.
Even outside of religious context.
Oh, I see.
The whole idea of turning the other cheek is a prime example. It really makes you think about the lasting power of these teachings. How they resonate with people even today.
Absolutely. And this blog author interprets the phrase salt of the earth as a call to embody qualities like compassion and helping others without expecting anything in return.
Yeah.
What do you think, listener, resonate with you?
What I find fascinating is that it kind of challenges conventional ideas of success and self-interest.
Right.
The post then gives examples of people who embody this whole saltiness.
Okay.
Individuals who choose kindness even when they're facing really difficult challenges.
Yeah.
Their stories really highlight this idea of resilience and forgiveness.
It makes me wonder how people cultivate that kind of resilience. Is it something you're born with or is it something you develop?
Well, that's where the psychology of altruism comes in.
Okay.
Studies have shown that there are actual benefits to helping others. It can boost your mood, reduce stress, and even improve your physical health.
Wow.
So maybe these salty individuals aren't just saints. They're on to something that benefits them too.
So it's not just about being a good person, it's potentially about being a happier and healthier person.
Right.
This blog post really makes you consider those everyday choices. Are we choosing to add that little bit of salt to the world, or are we just letting things stay bland?
Right. And then the post goes on to talk about specific actions we can take to be the difference.
Okay.
It talks about promoting positive growth, healing societal wounds, and living by example.
Okay, let's break that down a bit.
Sure.
What does promoting positive growth actually look like? In a practical sense?
Well, think about mentorship.
Okay.
Or volunteering for a cause that you really believe in, or even just offering encouragement to someone who needs it.
Yeah.
It's about creating an environment where people feel supported and empowered.
And what about healing societal wounds? That feels like a much bigger and maybe even daunting task.
It is. But it starts with, acknowledging the injustices that exist.
Right.
And then taking action.
Yeah.
This could be advocating for social change.
Okay.
Or supporting organizations that help marginalized communities, or even just having a respectful dialogue with people who have different viewpoints.
That respectful dialogue piece feels crucial, especially today when it's so easy to get caught up in arguments and negativity online.
Absolutely. Change often comes from understanding and empathy.
Yeah.
Even when we disagree. And this blog post really encourages us to, tap into those qualities to be the change we wish to see.
Now, the post also quotes a verse from Mark 9:50. It says, "Have salt in you and be at peace with one another."
Okay.
It seems to connect inner peace with our ability to make a positive impact on the world.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because it suggests that, cultivating inner peace is actually essential for fostering peace in our relationships and in our communities.
I see.
It's like that saying, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Right.
You need to be grounded in your own well-being before you can truly give to others.
So self-care isn't selfish?
Exactly.
It's actually a prerequisite for making a difference.
Right. This verse really prompts us to reflect. What are the sources of inner peace in our lives? How can we cultivate a sense of calm amidst all the chaos? What do you think, listener? Where do you find your peace?
I think that's a great place to pause and reflect for a moment.
Yeah.
Before we go any further, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, listener. What resonates with you the most so far? What has stood out to you about this whole idea of being the difference?
It's so easy to just get caught up in the everyday stuff and forget that we actually have an impact on people,
Yeah.
But this whole deep dive, it's a good reminder that even little acts of kindness can really make a difference. It's like that, tossing a pebble into a pond.
Oh, yeah.
Those ripples, they go further than you think.
That's a great analogy, and it brings us back to the blog author's main point. Okay.
Which is be salty, stay salty, be the difference.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty powerful call to action.
Yeah.
Reminding us we all have a role to play in making the world a better place.
It really does make you think about that butterfly effect,
Right.
Even small actions having big consequences.
Yeah, we may never really know the full impact of our choices, but,
Right.
That shouldn't stop us from trying to make a positive difference.
Exactly.
What I find so interesting is how this deep dive takes something as ordinary as salt
Yeah.
and turns it into this symbol of like a profound impact.
It's a clever metaphor.
It really is.
I mean, salt, it does so many things right. It enhances the flavor of food.
Right.
It preserves food. It can even heal wounds, and in the same way, our actions can bring out the best in people. They can protect what's valuable, and they can contribute to, a more just and compassionate world.
I love how the author says each of us has our own unique flavor of salt to bring to the table.
That's a good point. Our individual strengths, our talents, our experiences all shape how we can contribute to the world.
Right. It's not about being like someone else. It's about, embracing what makes you unique and using your own gifts to make the world a more vibrant place.
That's a beautiful way to put it. It encourages us to embrace our individuality while recognizing we are all interconnected.
Like a tapestry.
Oh, yeah. Each thread, no matter how small, contributes to the whole.
That analogy makes me think of the power of diversity. Just like a dish needs a balance of flavors to be delicious.
Right.
Our world needs, a variety of perspectives and contributions to really thrive.
Exactly. And embracing that diversity, celebrating those differences.
Yeah.
While also, recognizing our shared humanity that's essential for creating a more harmonious and vibrant society.
So what are some key takeaways for our listeners from this deep dive into, this salt of the earth concept?
I think it starts with self-reflection.
Are we living in a way that reflects those qualities of saltiness?
Right.
Are we compassionate? Are we merciful? Are we forgiving? Are we trying to make a positive difference in the world, even if it seems small?
Those are some really good questions.
Yeah, it's easy to get caught up in our own lives,
Right.
and forget about the impact we have on others. And this deep dive, it's a great reminder that even those small acts of kindness, they can make a real difference.
It's about being intentional with our choices, realizing that every interaction, every decision is a chance to sprinkle a little bit of salt into the world.
I love that.
So what are some practical ways we can be salty in our daily lives?
Okay.
The blog post mentions promoting positive growth, healing societal wounds, and living by example.
Right.
Can you kind of expand on those a bit?
Sure. Promoting positive growth, that could mean mentoring someone you know.
Yeah.
Volunteering for something you really believe in, or even just saying something encouraging to someone who needs it. It's all about creating an environment where people feel supported and empowered.
What about healing societal wounds?
Yeah.
That sounds like a really big task.
It is. But it starts with acknowledging the injustices and inequalities that exist, and then taking action, that could be advocating for social change.
Okay.
Donating to organizations that help marginalized communities, or even just engaging in respectful dialogue with people who have different viewpoints.
I appreciate you emphasizing that respectful dialogue piece.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get caught up in arguments, especially online these days.
It is.
But this deep dive reminds us that true change comes from understanding and empathy and a willingness to connect with others, even when we disagree.
Absolutely. And, living by example, that's probably the most powerful way to make a difference.
Okay.
When we embody the qualities we want to see in the world,
Yeah.
kindness, compassion, integrity, forgiveness, that inspires other people to do the same. Our actions speak louder than words.
Right.
And when we live authentically, it creates this ripple effect of positivity that goes way beyond just our immediate circle.
It's like that Gandhi quote, "Be the change you wish to see in the world."
Yeah.
It's a simple message, but so powerful. And this deep dive really brings it to life. It's not about waiting for someone else to fix things.
Right.
It's about taking responsibility for our own actions and trying to make a positive impact no matter how small.
And remember, it's not about being perfect.
Yeah.
We all make mistakes. We all have our moments. But the important thing is to keep trying keep learning and keep choosing kindness and compassion,
Mm-hmm.
even when it's hard. That's what it really means to be the salt of the earth.
That's such a powerful message of hope and empowerment.
Yeah.
We all have the potential to make a difference, to bring light and healing to the world.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a pretty good note to end on.
Yeah, that whole thing about it being okay to not be perfect, really stuck with me. Like it takes the pressure off.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You don't have to be a saint to make a difference.
Definitely. It's all about, progress, not perfection.
Exactly.
But each day is a new chance to choose kindness, practice empathy, be that little bit of salt that makes the world, a little tastier.
And that brings us back to that idea we were talking about before.
Okay.
About each of us having like our own special flavor of salt to offer.
Yeah.
What do you think that looks like for our listeners, like practically speaking?
Well, I think it means recognizing that we all have something to give, no matter what our background is, what we believe or even what we think our weaknesses are.
Right.
It's about finding our own way to be salty,
Yeah.
to like share our own kindness and compassion and positive energy with the world.
It's not about comparing ourselves to others or
Yeah.
trying to fit into some mold of what a good person is supposed to be.
Exactly.
It's about embracing our own individuality and letting our light shine.
I love that. And that's a great question for our listeners to think about today.
Yeah.
What kind of salt will you bring to the world?
What a great question to end on.
What flavor will you add?
It really gets to the heart of this whole deep dive.
Yeah.
We've gone through the history of salt, the biblical meaning, even the psychology of it all.
It's been a journey.
But really, it all comes down to this.
Mm-hmm.
We all have the power to make a difference, to leave the world better than we found it.
And don't forget, the world needs all kinds of flavors.
Right.
The sweet, the savory, the spicy, the subtle. That's what makes it all so interesting.
So go out there, be salty, stay salty, and be the difference.
Couldn't said it better myself.
That's all for today's deep dive into the world of salt and its power to change things.